Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. This evening, hopefully the weather will really hold up, but the weather forecast says that we may get snow. Hopefully not as much as the East Coast. That was horrific. Anyway, please check your neighbors and your friends and make sure your children are bundled up. Put scarves over their face so that they don't inhale the cold air. Do not leave your dogs or pets outside. Pardon me. And if you have a cough, make sure you take a lozenge just to keep your throat moist. This evening's program is a very serious program pertaining to your welfare and your benefit. Your life, your family, your household, and we have on the program Nancy Thorner, a very well-known writer and reporter that exposes a lot of ideas that the government or officials try to pass over the people, but Nancy writes about it, and they are published. These are published situations, and this evening I hope for your information. This is really not entertainment, this is information, and we tell you the truth. Everything has been researched so that you get the real informative idea of just how, or unfortunately if you are being boondoggled by government officials, whatever. Anyhow, it's regarding smart meters, and Nancy will expound on that as soon as we get into the program. Smart meters, very dangerous, pose a serious threat, life and limb, and there has been accountability to show that this is exactly what's happening. So before this gets any further, as serious problems happened in Michigan, Nancy is giving you the information here, and these are papers that were just printed, just came out with, information as late as yesterday, January the 26th, and this was placed in the Daily Herald, and there's information here and articles. So without any further ado, Nancy Thorner will speak on this because she has the research information and just what to do and who to go to and who to contact regarding this. And I might add that even our own mayor, Nancy Rotering, was very successful in combating ComEd with price gouging or whatever. But we need Nancy to step forward to protect our community here and use other voices in the legislature to stop, not just postpone, but to opt out of the smart meters, which the ComEd want to place in our homes and businesses. So without any further ado, please allow me to introduce to you our very favorite friend of Cooper's Corner, Nancy Thorner. Thank you for coming. And this is very informational. And this is not just a scare tactic. This is the real McCoy.
Thank you very much, Bev. I'm very, very delighted to be here tonight. This is a topic that demands more discussion, yet it seems like the people of Illinois don't have a choice because it's mandated by 2018 that all of Illinois, that is every payer gets a smart meter. Now presently everybody has analog meters, but smart meters are entirely different, which we're going to talk about right now. I think though before we talk about smart meters, we should talk a little bit about cell phones, because I've spoken to legislators in the General Assembly, and they tell me, Nancy, why should we be concerned about smart meters? After all, the electromagnetic radiation emitted from cell phones is the same as that emitted from, of course, smart meters. But how wrong they are. Cell phones are not that innocent thing that many people think they are, although they've grown so accustomed to them that they can't put them down. They're on them every minute of the day that is possible to be on them anyway. Now, I might say that smart meters are often compared to cell phones, and cell phones have a lot of risks to health, and they invade one's health problems and things of that sort. But we have to remember, as I said before, that the electromagnetic radiation that is emitted by wireless technologies does cause a breakdown in the communication between cells in the body. They interrupt DNA repair, they weaken tissue and organ function. Now, the public has not been warned, although manufacturers for a long, long time, government and scientists have been well aware of the hazards for many years. Now, concerning the International Agency for Research on Cancer, the RM or EMF emissions from wireless phones, it's really considered carcinogenic to humans. Now, I have a couple articles, or a couple things that I wrote. Now, first of all, using a cell phone, probably nobody would want to get rid of their cell phone, and nobody is saying to get rid of them. It's the use of them that is so prevalent that people use the cell phone many, many hours a day. And this article I found, it was listed Cellular Telephone Russian Roulette. Now, it was written by Robert C. Kane, who has a Doctor of Philosophy degree. Now, he was one of the engineers at Westinghouse who developed the cell phones early on and tested them and everything. Now, this is not well known, but he is one of 5 engineers at Westinghouse who lost his life to a brain tumor. Now, this isn't well known, but did Westinghouse tell you that the people who develop cell phones themselves develop tumors?
The researchers.
Yes,
the researchers.
Yes. Now, we also know, with public knowledge, about Beau Biden, the son of Vice President
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, of course. Now, there is very good proof, and it has been listed in articles that you can find on the internet, that people suspect that his death was caused by brain cancer. Now, under the heading of political brain tumor stats, you can find 23 deaths that were caused by the cell phones because it's very susceptible where you hold your cell phone. Now, if you're talking to a speaker or something of that sort, that would be much, much better. Now, another thing that not many people know, we all know how very, very prominent it is for children to have cell phones nowadays. In fact, I look around, and cell phones are so popular with children that if children don't have a cell phone, many of them think that they are really being slighted or that they're not in the in crowd. But maybe they are the fortunate ones. Because this is what cell phones are doing, or at least NBC News reported. Now, this was reported by Deborah David, who is, again, a doctor of philosophy. And she had this to say: compared with adults, research on children shows the microwave radiation is absorbed twice as much into their brains, up to triple in their brains, hippocampus and hypothalamus, and up to 10 times as much into the brain marrow of the skull. And it's indeed frightening, Bev, that half of the world's 4 billion cell phone users are under 20. Now, you might know that children, tissues, they absorb things a lot more so than adults. So it's not that adults should be a little bit leery about using a cell phone so much, but so should children, especially children at their stage of development.
I just want to be like the devil's advocate and say, well, you know, it's fine for you to make this statement, and we can appreciate this, or we understand this, but you know, the cell phone is a safety item that we give our child, so we know where they are. We can locate them where they are in case they're you know, get lost, or someone takes them, or we can always find them, or they can call home for help, or whatever the situation. So you're kind of batting your head against a wall when you say not to use them, and yet they are a tool used for safety, for a child's well-being.
But we're talking about use, a lot of use. Now, if you're just using them and they have them for reporting in, something of that sort, probably fine. I'm talking about there's some kids who talk on their cell phone all the time, just like adults.
Yeah.
And it's the overuse of them. And this is the problem with adults, and also the problem with children even more so, because they can stand less of it than adults and develop, unwanted things or what you have, health problems or whatever from cell phones. So it's not saying that they're not a useful tool, but I'm just saying cell phones aren't those ubiquitous little items that we have and we've grown accustomed to, because people have known for a long time that there are some dangers in the use of cell phones, like the Westinghouse engineers, but they just haven't told it to the people.
They haven't told
because it's a money operation.
Money.
Companies make money with cell phones. They want the people to purchase them. Now, out in California, which I didn't put in, the town of Berkeley, California, has banned cell phones. And many people have banned cell phones in Canada and throughout the United States because they realize that cell phones are dangerous. But of course, this information hasn't gotten to the people of Illinois yet.
No one is
listening. That's the big problem.
Did we want to talk about Kit Weaver? And
oh yes. Now, I found a very excellent website, and this website should be looked at by anyone if you have any doubts whatsoever. In fact, everybody, until they know something and until they look it up and they do their own research, you're going to have your doubts about things. But look on the internet and you will see many cases about cell phones and many also articles about smart meters that will tell you that they're not the thing that the companies are telling them that they are for the people. In fact, ComEd will say, if you question people about cell phones, oh, we need cell phones because it will get rid of the need to have cell phone people who come around and check your meters and everything, but they never tell you about the dangers of cell phone meters that you don't want people to know.
He deals with the grid, the smart meters? Or?
He has a blog, and it's under Sky Vision Solutions, Sky Vision Solutions. And his blog is an excellent one, and I'll give it to you now so you can look it up. It would be www.smartgridawareness.org. Of course, all one, all put together. So www.smart, S-M-A-R-T, grid, G-R-I-D, awareness, A-W-A-R-E-N-E-S-S.org. Now, a little bit about Mr. Weaver. You might think that he's somebody who doesn't know anything. Well, he has quite a background. In fact, he has a B.S. degree in engineering physics and an M.S. in nuclear engineering, with a specialty in radiation protection. This came from the University of Illinois. He also received specialized training in radiation biophysics and is qualified as a site radiation protection manager by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Now, they stand for something in the United States,
too.
Yeah,
sure.
Now, his latest article on this blog, and I looked it up and found it, it's one that he has entitled, Smart Meters Being Deployed Without Transparency or Necessary Public Debate. And this is what he is trying to do, and what I'm trying to do. Get the debate started out there so people can learn them for themselves what smart meters are all about, because most people don't know right now. Most people think they are perfectly safe. Now,
there are people out here in our viewing audience that have no idea what we're speaking about. A smart meter.
That's right.
That would entail the ability or lack thereof.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
yes,
of people
all the dangers
coming
of the
very,
meters.
very dangerous.
The thing is now is that ComEd is going to put them on every person who pays electricity rates.
Well, we need electricity, and everybody has electricity.
Well, of course they do. Now, we have to realize that what Kip said about smart meters, his conclusion, he concluded that smart meters are envisioned to be universally deployed to all homes, and he calls them by a network of actors that he refers to as technocrats. Now, another conclusion, the underlying and primary reason for deployment is to facilitate a reduction in energy consumption by consumers. And we'll find that out shortly too, why and how. And this is very important. Consumers are viewed ideally as, that's you and I, Bev, as rational actors who should sense a moral obligation to meet sustainability goals and take individual actions to help fight climate change.
Climate change. We're at that again.
Well, it's all about climate change, believe it or not. They think that if people use less electricity, oh, we won't use as much of a footprint. Oh, we won't emit as much CO2 and this and that. And there's broad disagreement. It's not settled science. In fact, most scientists that I know and I affiliate with, they poo-poo the idea of climate change. There is no man-made
So
climate change.
are we really saying that this is a ploy, a political ploy? Here we go again,
yes, it
another
is.
political ploy for the guy on top to make the most money he can and to deliver whatever services they think they're going to deliver, but at a risk of human life and limb and care, that as long as they make their money, they don't care what happens to the public.
Well, you have to realize that the UN controls a lot, and I won't get into the Agenda 21 and sustainability, but it's being put out, and the sustainability is being put into communities, and it has to do with the environment, and this is where the electric companies get in, and they all go into the world government type thing of doing the same thing, and of course ComEd is involved too, and the smart meters is
But
the
Nancy,
thing.
we're America. We make up our own minds.
We're not. We're being controlled by the UN and so many different things.
We don't want,
Of
nor
course
do
not.
we fail, or do we have to follow the footprint of anyone else?
But that would be
because it's
another-
their failure, it would wind up with our loss.
But that's the problem, which would be another segment that would be very important, telling about the world government and those people that are on in what would I say in union with world government control, which is the UN, to try to have all the world the same. So no nation is better than any other nation. But that's something else, Bev.
Okay.
And it's happening now in the United States in ways that we don't even realize it. But going on now about ComEd. Now, ComEd, of course, is very, very powerful, very politically active. They think they have more lobbyists in the federal government, in the United States federal government, than anybody. So they get what they want. Well, it happened the same thing. It was ComEd who was able to convince the General Assembly in Illinois to pass a law that could potentially threaten homes, harm lives, adversely impact nature, invade privacy. And this they did. And what happened then is that lobbyists for ComEd wrote the law. It was passed by the General Assembly, and evidently there was very, very strong disapproval, opposition from our own Attorney General, from the AARP, and many informed citizens who were well aware of the risks of smart meters. But ComEd spent, listen to this, $16 million convincing the General Assembly to override Governor Quinn's veto of the bill. Now, look what happened. And this stirs me very much so. When elected, Governor Rodner then signed the bill favoring ComEd over the rights of citizens to have a choice.
So you're telling me that Pat Quinn, the Democratic
want
governor,
them.
he did not want ComEd, so he would not sign the bill.
Because the Attorney General, Lisa Madigan, didn't want it either. She was against them.
So she was against it.
Yes.
But Rauner, our Republican governor.
Well, look at the money. They spread money to all the politicians. ComEd has lots of money, very powerful. So many, that's the trouble with the legislators, even the Republicans. I'll talk to them. You look at where they're receiving campaign money from.
Campaign money,
Lots
yeah.
of it's coming from
Campaign
ComEd and other places, but ComEd is a big donor. They don't want to do anything to not get their campaign money, and so they vote for what ComEd wants.
So who do we contact? Now Rauner's in office. He signed the bill. Where does that place us as residents of the state of Illinois? People are moving, Nancy, out of the state because, first of all, there's no jobs. Second of all, the taxes are unbelievably high. Third of all, manufacturing can't employ people, so they're moving their companies out of the country, let alone out of the state. So who do we complain to? Where do our voices become heard loud and clear?
Well, first of all, I think we better go into the dangers of smart meters so people know what we're dealing with, and then we can get to the main, not the main part, but my call of what people can do as far as trying to get that situation righted, which is now adversely detrimental to the people here in Illinois.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, you know, here in Highland Park, right where we are, smart meters are now being installed. And I did go to the town president, Nancy Rotering is her name.
Yes.
And I spoke to her about smart meters. I went to Lake Forest. I went to Lake Bluff. I talked with their town leaders. I gave them all the information about them. They all tell me, we can't do anything about it because it's ComEd who says they should be done, and we have to do what ComEd tells us to do. Well, they at least can notify the people what's wrong with smart meters. So this is one of the reasons, among many, why I wanted to be on your show, so I could tell the people exactly what the village administrators won't tell you about smart meters. Now, when they come to your home in Highland Park, in Lake Bluff, Lake Forest, or wherever you are, because they have a schedule, ComEd, and you can look up that schedule on the internet. It has ComEd installation schedules of smart meters, and you can tell when they anticipate to have all the smart meters put into the homes and businesses. The schedule is until 2018. Well, when ComEd comes knocking on your door, they will say, I'm here, I'm the person, I'm going to install the smart meter. Do you want me to install it? So they do give you the opportunity to opt out. But if you say yes, they'll come in and install it. Now, they only say when a resident of Lake Bluff was told he was going to get a smart meter installed, he asked, well, why do I need a smart meter? And the smart meter man said, well, you won't have to have a meter man then. And so the person didn't know any better and said, surely, you may install my smart meter. But he had no reasons. I told him afterwards why he shouldn't have had one installed.
Can you have them removed?
Well, we didn't get to that. You can, I suppose, if you would call them afterwards. But the main problem is, I think that every customer in Illinois has a right to decide for themselves whether or not they want one in their house or on the sides of their homes.
Well, you said opt out. The opt out means that they're eventually going to come in?
Oh, yes.
Or no?
Oh, yes. You can tell ComEd when they come to your door, like in Highland Park, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, which is on their schedule. All of Western Illinois, all Lake County is going to get them. So you can find the schedule. Go to your village manager. They all have a liaison with ComEd telling when they're going to put the meters in that particular community. So the people who manage your towns and communities, they should know because they are in contact with ComEd. Because ComEd has liaisons, as I say, they have somebody who represents that community.
You know, this, I just may contact our city manager and invite him on the program to let him explain what's going on, because I don't think, I know I didn't know what this was, smart meters. I had no idea.
No.
But I think that they owe the public at least a common courtesy to let the public know
Well, of course
what they entail, and who's going to write a health certificate for that. That's like asking, can we put a nuclear weapon in your house, and we're not going to be responsible for what the emissions are and whatever gases or whatever you're inhaling or absorbing through your skin. If you die or contract cancer or some other lethal disease.
Right. Now, I recently had this article published in both the Lake Forest and the Highland Park Patch publications. It also was published down in the Madison Review. And this is the article I'm talking about. Now, the three main issues for smart meters and why we want the law changed in Illinois to have a permanent opt-out and not just a delay.
Permanent, yeah, no delay.
Permanent. A delay would be until 2018, ready or not. There are cases that I read where they'll come to the basement and they won't even tell the person they're there. They'll just come in and put the smart meter in. They don't even give a person a chance. Now, I hope that wouldn't be happening in Illinois at all. But we all have a right, because it's un-American, for people to put these smart meters in. Now, there are three important issues. Smart meters could affect your family's health, their security, and their privacy. These are the big issues. Now, there are several opt-out reasons why you should opt out. Now, let's get into them now, Bev. Let's take my bookmark off.
All right,
so
go
we
ahead.
can look at them, each one of them. Now, the first one would be our health and our environment.
Yeah.
And we're all concerned about our environment and our health.
And our
Definitely
health,
so.
sure.
Now, smart meters emit 10,000 to 100,000 bursts of possible carcinogenic RF microwave radiations into our homes 24 hours a day. Now, people are complaining, and this is just not me. Look on the internet, and you will look at the health complaints about smart meters, and you'll be able to find this particular information and many examples of where they're happening.
Well, what if they say, oh, whatever you're hearing, that's a bunch of baloney. It's nothing more than what your microwave gives out. What about that?
Well, microwaves too, they're all come into it, it's a composite thing. And I'll tell you later on about how you can measure the amount of these waves in your home to know if you're in danger or not. But that will come later on too. Okay. First of all though, Bev, let's get to these.
Sure.
Now, people are complaining of headaches, ringing in the ears, rashes, nausea, insomnia, chest pressure, heart palpitations, nosebleeds, and weakness. And there is also potential threat to those with medical implants and weakened immune systems. Now, I'm not saying that anybody is going to, everybody, but I do know some people that I've been corresponding with, and they are very susceptible to these electronic frequencies, and they are suffering.
Well, what if they have pacemakers for their hearts or other valves? Or
many of them, as I will tell you later, have to wear like devices to try to protect them from some of these radiation, some of the radiation. Now, this is very important. Now, let's go on to the second one, though. What about the privacy invasion? This many people don't think about. In fact, I've spoken to several electronic engineers, very well versed on knowing about, you know, these particular waves and electromagnetic waves and what have you. And although they aren't too concerned about the health issues, they all tell me, Nancy, we're not that sure about the health issues. But one thing, we do not want smart meters on our homes because of the privacy issue.
a privacy
They're
issue.
against them for that. Now, what about the privacy issues? Now, without your consent, the computer inside the smart meter, listen, it's a computer. You know what computers can do? It collects private energy behavior patterns that will be available to government agencies and for sale to marketeers. Yeah, for sale.
I wonder if this could connect with the our computers that are inside our home, or even attach themselves to the cell phones to be able to get information, private information.
Well, who knows what would be the future?
We don't
but
know
the whole
this.
idea about that, The smart meter can tell exactly how many people are in the house and what you're using and when you're using things and everything. And people don't want that invasion into
No,
privacy.
that's not. That's a privacy.
No.
Okay.
And especially that they can sell it
Oh,
and know this information
sure.
so they know every household what is
What's
happening in that
happening, yeah.
household. It's no business of the government or of these particular.
No, they want, the bottom line is
right.
money, and if they have to step on corpses, that's what they're going to
That's
do.
right.
They want to make the money.
Now, another thing, number 3 is very important. It talks about hacking and security. Now, this is number 3 out of 7 all total. Now, there are vulnerabilities in wireless data, I guess you say,
Yeah, data.
transmission. They pose national security risks to our electric grid from hackers. Now, a former CIA director called the smart grid really, really stupid. Individual household data may also be hacked.
See, that's what I was saying, yeah.
And what of it? We're worried about our smart grid. We're worried about hacking and security with cyber, space and
Sure.
everything else, and maybe shutting down our. We're talking about shutting down our electricity and things of that sort. Well, this is all out there, and the smart grid is too. Now, this is something that people don't think about. Now, we could get higher electric bills. Now, smart meters, and this is something that people find astounding. A smart meter functions as a rationing device that monitors our usage 24/7. They're going to change varying rates during different times of the day. So if you use electricity during the peak time, you're going to pay more for your electricity than if you use it in the nighttime when there isn't as much
Demand.
demand
Yeah.
for it. And look at what happens during the day if you need, of course, heating or
Well,
you
laundry, you have to do laundry.
or if you have air conditioning, it's going to cost more. So that means you're supposed to leave everything done until the nighttime maybe, so that the electricity rates will be lower. And this is what smart meters would do. They would proportion your electricity, what it costs when you use your, electricity and everything.
So number 4 is higher bills.
There could be higher bills, yes, because they're going to monitor
Okay.
your usage. And this is the same thing I said with the privacy issue. They know who's in the house, who's using electricity,
Who's in
what
the
time
house.
you're using your electricity, how much electricity they're using. And this is another thing that could come about. And this is not so far-fetched. When they get a little bit more along in this process, they can have appliances with RF
Radiation.
and these appliances come with mandated wireless RF transmissions that emit continuous 24/7 RF signals to the wireless smart meter.
It's like you have,
Beep, beep, beep.
yeah,
pulsing.
you've got a mole in your house. There's no privacy there.
No.
And we have to fight for our Second Amendment rights and our First Amendment rights. And here, ComEd things are just going to waltz in to all these neighborhoods and install this without the public having fair knowledge and discussion on this?
Well, of course, they are giving the public an option, but ComEd says the option, of course, is there. You can't get out of it, only delay.
No, we don't want delay.
No,
We want out. We
that's
want
the whole point.
nothing.
We need a public discussion.
Yeah.
We need the General Assembly to get involved. We need the governor to get
Well,
involved.
you said that our Attorney General was
Oh, yes, Lisa
against
Madigan
it.
was against smart meters.
So why are we afraid now? Because Rauner signed the.
Well, once the bill is signed, it's difficult because the General Assembly did pass the bill. And that was under a Democratic. Of course, we have a majority. I don't know how many Republicans voted for it, but they can pass almost anything with the super majorities they have down there, the Democrats. What was passed with the last General Assembly or legislations or legislators, but Governor Quinn wouldn't sign the bill. But Lisa Madigan is still the Attorney General. But when the new governor came in, the new governor did sign the bill. It was waiting there for him to sign because Quinn couldn't sign it. So this is a very interesting situation. Now the last thing, though, not the last thing, but
No,
the
number
sixth
6,
one.
yeah.
Now we have to remember that the utility owns and maintains 100% control over our computer hardware and software upgrades inside smart meters. Now, this is going to happen in the future. You can make sure that it will. If you are using too much electricity in your house now, in fact, it's kind of already happening in a way. Do you get those slips from ComEd? It tells me, you use so much electricity, you're using so much more than your neighbor, or you're good this time, you're good this month, you use less electricity than your neighbor. Already, they know how much electricity I'm using, and they're telling me I shouldn't be using so much electricity because my neighbor isn't. Now, what do you think will happen in time?
This is like George Orwell's,
It is.
1984. I mean, this is terrible. We're being controlled by the government. No, we're America. We are America. We are America. I mean, here, God bless America. Here's my signage. I have this all the time here. We are different from the other the other countries that have rulers, that have kings or caliphs or whatever they have. We are governed by our people. And if the people don't want what they're trying to shove down our throat, the people have to speak out, Nancy. This is absolutely outrageous. Outrageous. And talk about corruption in the court. This is unbearable here. This is terrible.
There's corruption in so many different places, and politicians get away with it. So they get more nerve, and they keep getting away with it, and people don't say anything until it's too late almost to speak up, because it's infested so deeply, and it is so inside everything that how do you get it out? It's impossible. But the thing is, what I'm suggesting when they come to your community, if people know about smart meters, they can opt out. And if enough people, like in Highland Park or like Forest or like Bluff, would say, no, we don't want smart meters, ComEd would get a lesson. They would learn a lesson. They would send a good message to ComEd that these people are wise about smart meters.
And what is number 7? Loss of
we
property
didn't get,
value?
We didn't get to 6 yet.
Oh, all right.
This is how loss of control. And this is how, like ComEd, if they decide we're using too much electricity, because again, it's all connected with our footprint. How much CO2 is going to be produced because of the energy needed to produce electricity and everything. If we decide we're putting too much of a carbon footprint, they could turn off an appliance or an entire household at their whim and just not give the people electricity.
What do you mean they can shut this off?
With a smart meter, they could shut everything off. If this is in the future, if they perceive that you're using too much, that's the possibility. That's the ability they have to do so.
We are supposed to be going ahead in technology, not dropping behind. What do they want us to do? Light candles and work on candle power?
But they think you should only use so much water for bathing. You should only use so much washing. You don't need to wash so much or use so much water because it takes too much heat and that takes too much electricity. And this isn't good for the environment. And so the smart meters will tell the electric companies like ComEd exactly how much electricity the person is using. So eventually they could do this. They could just say, okay, you can't use so much. We're going to turn it off for a while. It sounds frightening.
It is frightening.
Now, the 7th one would be a loss of property value and safety. This is very important because people say this is not so. Again, if you search the internet and you search about fires with smart meters, you will find that electrical fires are being caused by the arcing and the sparking of these smart meters with one another and everything. And the older wiring, though, may be more susceptible to these problems. But it's something that everybody has to look into. And we had no choice so far whatsoever to even disagree because there is the law. And the law is there, and ComEd established their schedule for putting smart meters in. All the towns and communities and cities in Illinois were given a schedule of when smart meters were going to be installed. down in Naperville, they started to install them first, and there was a great big push against smart meters
Really?
down there. Oh, definitely so.
And so what was the outcome? What did
Well,
they...
the outcome, still, many people do not have the smart meters.
But what about the ones that they forced their way into their home and did
Well,
that?
they didn't, I wouldn't say they forced it away there, but there are accounts on the internet where they just came in and put the smart meters in. By the way, if anybody is interested in more about the articles I've written, also I have a marvelous PowerPoint presentation that I could send them through an attachment to their website, and they would see this PowerPoint presentation showing slides taken from actual encounters about security, about health hazards, and about safety and every problem connected with smart meters. And they would visibly be able to see this PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if it's proper to give my email, because if they had my email, they could then notify me, and then I could send them this PowerPoint
Well,
presentation.
you're free to give
so
your
maybe
email.
they could show
Sure.
it to their city councils, or they could show it to other interesting people, people interested in smart meters, or just a private person would want to know more about it. And as I said, you have to look at Kit Weaver's website, which I gave before, with his smart meters
Smart,
awareness website, which is so good. But my website is very easy to remember. Now, I must confess that I don't have degrees in electrical engineering or anything of that sort. In fact, my degrees, it might sound a little bit strange, is in music education. I have a master's degree in music education, but it doesn't say that you cannot become involved and become up to date on what is happening.
That's right.
I've learned a long time ago what was happening concerning smart meters, and many people talking to me, and I've gotten in contact now with some of the finest people about smart meters that exist here in the United States and Canada. And so I talk with them all the time, and they've given me information. They share with me information that is happening all over the world about people opting out of smart meters, about many communities in Canada too that decide they don't want the smart meters because they believe what smart meters do.
Yeah.
Up in Quebec and other places of that sort. But in the United States, again, we have places that do not want them installed. And you will see, like in Berkeley, California, and that is a very liberal town out in Berkeley.
Are we
Yes.
talking more of the political aspirations of people because of their politics? I mean, that liberal people are pushing for this more than...
Well, ComEd, it's a very liberal state out there, but they did understand smart meters and the dangers of them. And even though it's a progressive state, that the cities are choosing not to do it, not the whole state. Now, our state, I suppose, probably ComEd could be considered very much in. They were very, very tight with the Daley administration, very tight with the Quinn. But for some reason, Quinn understood that smart meters were not the best thing, maybe because of Lisa Madigan. But you have to remember, lots of money is passed around. And also, it was with the good possibility, I'm not saying I don't want to make any aspersions, but it can be deducted or deduced that many of the politicians, their wheels were greased, or as politicians, as far as money, and they voted for what ComEd wants. Just like school boards, they vote for what the school board members want, or the school board members vote for what the politicians want, because they are elected to bow down to the superintendent. So it's in our government in very, very different ways in our government. But I mean, these 7 ones are 7.
These are very
Yes.
scary.
They are scary.
This informational points that because the public has no knowledge of this. Everybody in a family works. The husband works. The wife works. Some of the children, even after coming home from school, they have babysitting jobs. They work as well, and to just put this in to a household without the awareness or the
well, not at least for the discussion, not
Well,
telling them the truth.
you know, this is, I'm telling you, it's very bad just for the sheer fact.
Naturally
I mean,
so.
I'm getting so tongue-tied with this because I'm so distressed that ComEd would have the audacity with the public. If we had another electrical outfit to be able to
Yes.
run this.
Well, some do, but they, whatever anybody has, they'll be doing it. Now, I have to get into this, Bev, too, because I didn't give my email address.
Oh, yes,
It
go
would
ahead.
be Nancy, I play the cello, so it's Nancy Cello with the number 1 at Comcast.net. NancyCello, numeral 1 at Comcast.net. Now, the reason why I gave this, or am giving it now, is because the PowerPoint is very, very illuminating. You would love seeing it. Also, I have here in my hands the CUB, CUB, is a citizen
Utility board. Yeah.
Now, everything that CUB has on here about smart meters, and there's a sheet about it that ComEd put out. ComEd talking points are on this sheet. What happened? If you want this sheet where experts said, defied, whatever you want to call it, they took apart all the arguments that ComEd gave CUB, and you will find what CUB said and what the expert said, what CUB said and what the expert said. Now, if you want this sheet, it's entitled Thorner, and of course Nancy Thorner. The title of the article is Beware of Propaganda to Quell Inconvenient Truths About Smart Meters. And this has the CUB sheet in.
Yeah.
And I could send this to you, the link, so you could see it. And you could see everything that ComEd is telling CUB. And it's on this fact sheet, and it's not true. So this is food for thought, too. Now, time goes so fast.
I know.
Something we have to get into, Bev, is a little bit about how, I think I covered everything. Right. We have magnetic forces, such as electromagnetic magnetic forces. Now, we have to realize that EMF, they come from many, many different sources. They come from our power lines, our computers, our cell phones, our fluorescent lights, our junction box, our hair dryers. Now, there was a professor over in Sweden who has studied EMFs for 20 years. And he said, if you put a radio near a source of EMFs, you get interference. The human brain has an electric field, so if you put sources of EMFs nearby, it is not surprising you get interference, interaction with systems, and damage to cells and molecules. Now, they also say, experts, that if you get a continuous exposure to more than 2.5 milligauss, it is dangerous.
Yeah, milligauss, yeah.
Now, a milligauss, you have to recognize what a milligauss is. And it's actually, you can look that up too, because I have it here for you. A milligauss can measure EMFs where you spend hours in a confined space. Let's suppose in a chair or a bedroom, it can measure how much of that, so to speak, radiation is present in your house. Now, it's measured, a magnetic field, they're measured, as I said, look it up, it's spelled M-I-L-L-I, Gauss. Now, a milligauss is 1/1000th of a Gauss. Oh my gosh, it's
I
such
don't
a
know,
tiny
it's too
little
technical.
measurement. It's too technical.
Too technical.
But by safety, they recommend that you're not exposed to more than 0.5 or 2.5 at the most. Now, you can get something called a Gauss meter, G-A-U-S-S, to find out how bad the electromagnetic forces are from every electric and battery operated, like cell phones and other devices that you use. Now, some people who sleep near fluorescent clock radios and electrical junction boxes, which are putting out big radiations, and then they wonder why they can't sleep. Now, there are some people, and you told me of somebody who uses these devices, because some people realize they are very susceptible, even before smart meters were put on.
This is true.
That they're susceptible to the radiations
Yes.
or the EMFs that they get from many different sources. And so they wear something called a crystal, or it could be called a Q-Links, which can be found. I guess the website would be Q-Links, and they are various things that you can do or use to try to protect yourself from these EMF, electrical magnetic forces. And of course, our smart meters now are going to add so much more to our lifestyle.
You know,
and we can't resist them.
everybody was so worried before, Nancy, about the gases that are emitted from the house. You know, everybody had to have their houses checked for the gas emissions or whatever. And now they just want to kill us with radiation.
Well, it's again progress. They say progress, and the people accept it as progress. But as I said before, it's not progress when you're putting the safety and the security and the health of the people at risk in Illinois, and you're not giving them any choice. There was no discussion. Of course, the legislators spoke about it, and they enacted the law, but did the people get to know what the law was about?
They don't know. I asked you before, and you said, well, we'll get to that. They have to contact Governor Rauner's office and make a stand and demand that this be, the meters not be installed, and a permanent opting out, or let them contact, and you can go on your, get on your cell phone. I'm so sorry that I don't have, for your convenience, the number down to Springfield, but you've got your smartphone. You just get on there and connect with the Springfield Capitol, or Governor Rauner's phone, or the Secretary of State. Call all the officials. I don't even know what Dick Durbin is doing. He's so busy with Hillary Clinton, I have no idea what he's doing.
But that's federal, too.
And that's federal, too. Yes. But Nancy, the point is that all officials that come from Illinois need to have the protection of their people, of their voters, of their residents,
of course,
first and foremost. Why isn't someone speaking out?
Because ComEd is very powerful. They tell the communities, this is what we're going to do.
Well,
and they tell me, when I talk to the people who are heads of the community, we can't do anything about it. It's not under our control. ComEd does it. We can't stop it. And this is the answer I got from Lake Forest, I got from Lake Bluff, I got from Highland Park. And they say they can do nothing about it. Well, the citizens can. I would say that citizens of communities, wherever you are in Illinois, if you don't have smart meters already, consider maybe opting out of them. But you should call your community, what would I say, officials. You should also get a hold of Governor Rauner and tell him that the law is awful, that he signed, and that he's putting people in danger, and you and me and everyone else, with these smart meters. And your legislators, they have to be told that the community of Illinoisans, you are rebelling against these smart meters. Now, I do have the number of ComEd.
Oh, good. Okay,
now,
what's the number of ComEd?
You should call ComEd, area code 866-368-8326, and request a delay.
Okay.
Now, that you can do. You can call ComEd 866-368-8326 to request a delay.
But we want a permanent and true opt-out.
Yes.
We don't want just a delay.
No. Now you have to tell your neighbors to get a delay, as RF radiation from smart meters blankets the entire community with high intensity pulses that create this word, listen to it, electromagnetic smog.
Electromagnetic
They
smog.
pulse and they blanket your entire community. And ComEd customers should be offered a permanent opt-out, some of which are the potential for a fire in the home, privacy invasion caused by the detailed granular data being collected, the health threat from RF microwave emissions, and providing an opening for a theft or a thief to hack into the wireless smart meter, switch off the security alarm, and enter the premises. We want an opt-out in Illinois. Every other state has it. There are many cities that are just rather abandoning them altogether. They won't allow them to be put into their communities. And we at least deserve a right to opt out of them. And Illinois must change their law. And you as citizens, you must get on the phone, alert your legislators, alert your community leaders, and call Governor Rodner. Start a rebellion in Illinois.
I think for our viewers that are watching, and of course we're here in Illinois, but this will be on my YouTube, so you will be able to see this on my YouTube, and I do invite you to please visit our YouTube, and this will go all over the world, so people have got to know that we can take a stand here in Illinois. But here in Illinois, we have Governor Rauner. He is a Republican governor who won over Pat Quinn, who was the Democrat, and Lisa Madigan, who are also Democrat, who did not want to put this in.
It was Governor Quinn, sorry.
It was Governor Quinn, I'm sorry, yeah. Governor Quinn. So I would say contact the governor and members of the General Assembly who passed the law mandating, that's the word is mandating, that smart meters be installed excuse me, on homes, and insist the law be amended and that ICC ruling be changed to offer a permanent and true opt-out. Opt-out, not a delay.
Not a delay until 2018.
No delay. We want him to change, that the law be amended, and that it offer a permanent and true opt-out. That our lives are at stake. And ladies and gentlemen, you're watching this and hearing this. You know what in Flint, Michigan, those thousands and thousands of people that unfortunately the water was switched because they wanted to save money. Look what they want to do here. They want to save money.
Well, they want to make money, too.
But who's making the money? No, they're saving the money, but who's making the money on doing this? Remember, those people that make the machinery, those people and the technology that goes into that machinery, those businesses that will become trillionaires on our lives, I don't think so. You need to speak out, step forward. Don't be afraid, because if you vote to have it in, unfortunately, it will be a very critical situation. So I want to thank you all for allowing us to come in your home and place of business. And please call the governor, and your voice needs to be heard. I'm going to contact our general manager here at Highland Park and let them know about this. We're going to have them on the program. So thank you for allowing us in your home or your place of business, and have a pleasant evening and a very safe week. Hope to see you again next week on North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. And thank Nancy Thorner.
Thank you, Bev,
coming
so much.
so much down here.
And remember, get in contact with me.
Yes.
My email address if you want me to send you any articles that I have.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a good evening.